Thank you for coming. I know for our guests, welcome. It's a cold day outside, so thanks for coming down. And team, thanks for all coming. We've had a good afternoon. We've had Andrew take us through some of our operation stuff. So this session is going to be a bit more lighthearted. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interactive. It's all about Snapchat. We're going to get on the tools. We're going to play. We're going to have some fun. So get ready. Strap in. So we're the Snapchatters today. So you've got obviously Tom, he's the millennial, so he's all over this. I'm the Gen X, so you've got two angles you're coming from today. So I'm the old dude on there, late to the party, as you expect. So Lucy and I are just getting started, while Tom has been doing this for years. You've got 20,000 points.
38,000.
There you go. I've got 2,000 points, so that just shows, you know, the different scale. But you know, Tom's been using it as a text message thing for years, and I'm just catching up. So I've got onto the platform in January, so I've been using it for about 4 months, and you know, been having a good time, good fun. I've got my circle of friends on there, some of them anyway, my wife's friends anyway. So that's been good fun. So today we're going to take you through a bit about the system. So we'll get on the tools to show you how to use it. We're going to go through some stats. We're going to go through some of the features of the tools, and then some best practice from a client perspective, you know, how to use the content and all that sort of stuff. So, I think that's enough of the intro. So straight into it. So the stats, Snapchat, they've been going since 2011. In that time, they've built up to 200 million users. 100 million of those are active every day. So it's a fairly high percentage of people logging into the tool. 2 million of those in Australia, and the age bracket, 60% of 13 to 34-year-olds are Snapchatters. So that's a pretty high percentage. Video is where it's really gone gangbusters for them in the last 2 years. That's where the growth is. And I think a lot of other social platforms are catching up with Facebook. Example is one of those ones. So it's 8 billion video views a day are happening on Snapchat. That's massive. It is insane. I had to double check the figures when I saw it. I mean, you know, granted they could be 2-second videos, 10-second videos, but it is a massive volume, and I think that's why Facebook's getting onto a lot of video as well on the other channels. Any other? Oh, Gen X, fastest growing demographic on it. You know, because we're last to the party. Well, not quite, baby boomers are, but they'll come in a couple of years' time. But yeah, we're the fastest growing now. Obviously, the millennials all got on it a couple of years ago. Now, you know, Gen X, Lucio, myself are getting on it and having a little bit of fun. So that's some of the stats. Have I covered off most things there, Tom? Haven't missed anything?
Probably the biggest comparisons between Facebook and Snapchat in terms of 8 billion video views on Snapchat. That's even though Snapchat's 10 times smaller than Facebook in terms of active users. What's Facebook sitting at roughly?
1.2 billion users.
Yeah, and their average video view
is similar.
Is very, very similar. So in terms of a platform that's 10 times smaller, to have the same sort of video views is pretty impressive.
Very. Excellent. So why do we love Snapchat? Because you can be creative. It's your own content. You're sharing it with the world. As you can see, a couple of snaps up here. Tom had a bit of fun recently with Lisa and myself sitting on the couch with Jess. And I don't know if you've seen this, Jess? And,
I've seen it too much.
So obviously Jess was the third wheel. One of my recent dinners, I had too much chili. So it's really capturing that moment. That's what the platform's all about. It's great. And in marketing, capturing moments is very popular at the moment. It's on trend. So the thing about, and I'm going to compare a little bit with Facebook, so sorry Facebook out there, but you know, you can't upload like 10, 20 photos a day of moments on Facebook. It just doesn't have the same cut through. People don't like it. But you can do it on Snapchat because you're controlling the frequency, how often you see the content. So it's totally different. So Snapchat is being built for capturing those moments, which I think is really good. Another reason why people love the platform is because it's gone after 24 hours. Post your content, it's there for 1 to 10 seconds, all up to 24 hours, but then it's gone. So young people love it, we all love it, it's gone. You know, people take screenshots, but in essence, the content doesn't last very long. So that's another great reason why people love it.
And just so people don't usually like screenshots, it's sort of, Snapchat tells you when you take a screenshot and people are like, oh, why would you take a screenshot of that? That's just sort of especially my generation, that's what sort of circulates a little bit. Like, why do you screenshot that? It's in the moment feel. It's, you know, we want to share that moment with you. It's only 10 seconds. We don't want it to last forever. We don't want to see it come up when it's our 21st birthday and, you know, we see it again on Facebook.
When Gen X rolled it out. There's one other point, just regards, it's a bit of one-to-one communication as well. So a lot of people, you know, you send the snap to your friend and that sort of stuff. So that's quite different to other platforms as well. So that was one thing that people really love about platforms. So we're just going to get into using Snapchat, but can we get a show of hands who's downloaded Snapchat on their phone? Who's used Snapchat in the last month? Who knows what a streak is? Okay, we got one. Wow. Liam, surely you know. Okay.
What's the name, Marco?
Not big on lingo.
Okay, well, Tom's going to take us through all of this and more. So we're just going to pull out your phones. Let's jump on Snapchat. This can be sort of a little hands-on how-to guide to use Snapchat.
Yeah, okay.
Give us a sec. I think we've got to load up.
Is it at your desk? Do you want to go?
I haven't downloaded the app.
That's right. We will soon.
I'll do it after.
So,
Good after. I don't bring
Is it
phones to meetings.
Okay, so you can see up on the screen.
so the platform itself is really, when you first open it, it's really sort of plain, and it's not like, you don't really know what a lot of it is, but it's designed to be really sort of native to users. So in this sort of situation, if you swipe to the left, which is like pulling across, you'll see sort of like a message feed. And once you've sort of added friends, which I'll show you to do in a minute, just pull this up.
So we're logged in as the online circle at the moment. So you
Yeah.
can see.
So this is sort of just online circle stuff at the moment. Just quickly, really sort of basic thing to do. If you point your cameras at the screen and you just tap and hold on the screen where the logo is, that'll sort of bring up, it's like scanning a snap code, which will help you add the online circle. Okay, so just quickly, there's a couple of ways to add. You can go add by nearby, which you go into and it'll automatically sort of show up people who are close by. Add by snap code, which is what we just did. Add from address book, which will match with your contacts in your address book, and then username, which in our case is the online circle, or just online circle, sorry. You can also see who your friends are. You get little trophy things here, so send a video without audio, da-da-da-da-da. Sorry, going a bit quick. Verifying email, just little things like that. So the app itself, it's probably not the best thing to look at. If you swipe across to the right where it has stories, these are an option in terms of sending a snap, where you can post it publicly to 24 hours and everyone who's friends with you can see it for 24 hours as many times as they want. In this case, we can also see who's seen our stories, which is one James and I did sort of before, in a bit of preparation. So sending a snap itself. So let's see, everyone. So once you take a photo, sort of tap on that little circle button. You can set your time down in the bottom left corner, so you can have it up to 10 seconds or 1 second. You can save the photo hitting this little button here, and then you can add to your story directly. So in that sort of situation, once you've got your photo, you can do a few things to it. You can then tap the little pen up the top right. You can draw things like a little happy face. You can add stickers using that little sticky note button. There's heaps here, so many, it's like all emojis and stuff as well. If you swipe left and right on the image itself, it'll bring up stuff like the time, temperature, speed, tells you not to snap and drive at the same time if you're moving. And usually we get geo filters, which at the moment we've got an online circle one. My location's decided to stop working again. Which has been really temperamental. But yeah, you can do some really cool things with it, customise your snap and play with it in the moment. Once you want to send it, you can send it, you get the little arrow down the bottom right, and you can add it to your story, which that's a public location, that's where it will go for 24 hours, and then it will disappear. Or you can send it to friends like Sam, Jimmy Colin, getting some points up. Myself, Freya, Hannah, Jess, Lucio, Liam, and so on. Once you hit send, it'll sort of bring up like a circle thing. Internet's not working on me. And yeah, so you're receiving snaps from people. That's sort of what Sam's just done, using our JFilter. That's an example of it. You can also tap and hold on the snapshot after you've seen it, and you can replay it, but you can only replay it once, and then it starts costing money.
And the user is notified.
Yeah.
when you hit replay.
Yeah, so
So with the filters, do you guys just want to take a photo and just swipe left to see the online circle filter? Just test it out.
if you double tap on the screen, that is like a shortcut to flipping your camera around facing you. So in this case,
But there's one thing before. If you're on the filters still, you can actually bring up another filter over the top. I mean, people obviously know this.
so you
So,
tap and so you can swipe.
so yeah, hold your finger down and then swipe again. So you can get extra.
So you pick it and then hold?
And then
So
gives you,
you've got
every
your
time you do
filter
this,
up.
it gives you a trophy.
Yeah. Oh, really?
You got your filter up,
Yeah,
first
that's
one.
right.
Hold your finger down and then just swipe like normal.
With another finger.
Now hold your finger down. You got to keep your finger down.
So you have one finger on the screen when you've got the filter you
Oh,
want,
okay.
and then you use your other finger and you swipe to the next one.
Oh, yeah.
Is 2 the maximum?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay.
So we got face swap. Everyone's done a bit of face swapping,
Which is kind of freaky.
which looks a bit freaky for Tom and I. It's
I look like I'm 40 years old.
Lucky bastard.
and I look like I'm 20.
What's wrong with it?
Fine. There we go. Alright, so
Maybe not that shot with the light.
this is really cool because this one's actually. We'll get into this down the track, but this is actually a sponsored. They're called lenses. So this one's actually a sponsored lens from who's it by? Netflix.
Do over.
Do Over. Okay, so one of their shows that they do, which is really cool. We'll get into sponsorship and those. There's all these different ones. So
Why am I doing it? You do it.
little face swap.
Do the dog one.
So yeah, it's pretty scary.
That's so cool.
It could also. Where's Lucio? Here he is.
That is terrible. Oh, share that.
Discover channels. So it's just on where you got your stories, and then you can swipe to the right to bring them all up. So you get this screen here. So these channels are basically dedicated channels for each of the brands. They pay a lot of money to have these channels, and they curate their own content. So it's like almost like a TV channel. It's basically, I think there's only limited around 20 channels, and so it's undivided attention when you're obviously using the app. So people come discover, content. So, for example, some of their companies using it, Fox Sports, is one I would look at it. They take some of their stuff from their TV during the day, some of the most popular things, they put it on to, a 10-second grab or a 5-second grab of video, and you have the option of swiping upwards to read the article. It might take you through, take the article from the website, that sort of stuff. So it's undivided attention, really expensive. It's about 20 companies using it at the moment. But it's really the thing, if you want to click on one now.
National Geographic's a really good example, one that I really like because I like all that sort of, it's really educational, and they do some pretty cool articles, but it's all, the biggest emphasis we've got on it is it's all vertical content.
So if you click onto one, I just clicked onto BuzzFeed, I don't know if you guys are on there at the moment, you'll see that it's taking up the whole tile, the whole screen, it's maximising the screen, and this is obviously big. There's studies out there at the moment that people, don't pick up their phone and turning it to the side anymore. It's all keeping it in their hands and looking it straight on. It's probably one of the reasons why Facebook's doing canvas ads as well, if you're familiar with it, because it's getting that whole space. It's not being interrupted by other messages on the screen. So this is really powerful. You get the whole screen, and this is how content is on Snapchat for everything now. It's vertical content, so really powerful. And obviously you can see if you're scrolling through the content, they're using all the filters, they're using the graphics. It's obviously a lot of it's pre-planned sort of stuff, and you can see as the image. You can scroll up to scroll up to get some more content on it, that sort of stuff. So obviously for brands, it's not for everyone. It's quite expensive, but it's a popular place that people are using it. I found a case study. Wall Street Journal. They post 8 articles a day or 8 snaps a day. They were getting average. A very good article would get 10 seconds, and then people flick. They were finding it like within 1 or 2 seconds, people would just move on. That quick. That's how long you've got to get someone's attention. It was pretty surprising to me. And another thing they found with the video sound. So on Facebook, they weren't doing video. You know, the autoplay. There's no sound. They were finding on Snapchat that people want sound on it, so that actually gets their attention with videos. It's something to keep in mind. Going for sound for video.
Moving on to live.
Hold on, just before you go. So the biggest, the only reason I'm interrupting you guys to collaborate to this is the biggest misconception of Snapchat comes from not understanding this section of Snapchat. This is the broadcast session of Snapchat. This is where the eyeballs are. This is where, as a general sense, of course, this is where the TV replacement component of Snapchat is coming. Okay, so we, users of Snapchat, we are consuming content from these channels the way we consume content from TV. That's why somehow down the track, there will be, it's actually announced today, the Nielsen in UK, it's already launched analytics to these things here. So the way it operates here, and I'll talk at the end of this in terms of costs. I got it now, the final costs in Australia to be using this. The way this operates is we can buy directly from the Snapchat content here, but we also can negotiate with Vice to drop content within their own content. So it's a 2 channels distribution, and one comes out of IO, another one comes out of negotiate with them as well. The second last thing I want to say about this is these guys have dedicated teams to build up. They go from some of these publishers, they have about 5 people. Some of these publishers have 10 people dedicated full-time to build content. It's brand new content every single day. It flips every single day. So if you watch National Geographic today, tomorrow you're going to be seeing different content. Super alive. You can actually highly shareable throughout this content. I can actually share that piece of content to my contacts, so it becomes the variety effect it's right there. So this is really the eyeballs, the component that bridge between one-on-one messaging and wide broadcast messaging.
And you talked about the Super Bowl being watched more through Snapchat than the television, so that would have been the sports channel here.
No, not really.
That's in the next video.
That's another thing that's coming next.
So we're moving on to the live section. On my phone at the moment, live section is nothing but obviously, are you guys familiar with live section? So it's events, it's sporting, music, so it's trending what's happening now. So a lot of sporting events. We've got an example here from the French Open at the moment. So what happens is they've got a team, it's a combination of user-generated content, branded content. There's a team of obviously in New York and LA who from Snapchat sift through content from around the world. So when you publish a post, you've got the opportunity to post it to your friends or onto your story. You can also put it into a live stream, so based on the geo filter. So for example, we could be at the Australian Open. You're swiping like we were before, and your online circle filter came up. There might be one for the Australian Open tennis. So you got the option. I want to submit my snap to go potentially on that feed. Then the guys in LA or New York will go through all the filters, and they might pull out your snap and then publish it. And then it's housed on a similar sort of spot here. Here's an example here. So there's the Stars AMF Gala. So you click on there and you get the feed. So you'll get a mixture of user-generated content. You'll get the branded content mixed through it as well. So that's where advertisers can pay, put their ads through there. I saw a Hungry Jack's ad there the other night. This one was really cool from the French Open, so it was a combination of people taking photos and videos from the day, and then some of the tennis players were uploading their own videos as well, and obviously they had arrangement, they would create some filters for them and all that sort of stuff. So really a popular way to explore. It's like a modern day documentary. I saw on the weekend, Iceland, Reykjavik, the town was featured. And, so they're all content from people there living there, posting and tourists and that sort of stuff. So it's a great way to explore a town. And I'm sure they must be doing deals with some cities around the world where you can get featured and that sort of stuff. I think you can also sponsor events as well. That's also obviously a way to get 100% of the eyeballs. So you're getting people on the ground posting to your filters. That's fantastic. They're sharing with their friends. They're sharing it on the brand's feed as well. So great use of user-generated content. I really like. I think it's on the next one, the NBA example, but I think we're getting to that in a sec.
No, that's a couple after.
A couple after.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll show you an example from NBA, how they use theirs from a story perspective. Really great. But Jeff was asking about sort of the size and sort of the eyeballs. So it was the American ABC American Music Awards show, and they had a they had a live event. So it's televised on TV. They had 3 million views on TV.
9 million, 11.5 on Snapchat.
Thank you.
I memorized the data.
Well, I got 3 million, but anyway, but it was 11.5 on Snapchat. So you can see the size of Snapchat. It's really getting that audience for the 13 and 34-year-olds. So I'm sure a lot of the advertisers will be getting on to the awards next year.
What was the duration of that stream?
I beg your pardon?
How long was the stream?
This one here, the live
No,
from
the one on the NBA.
I don't know because it's quite long, Jed. The important thing, because I'll be talking about the price and the structure of the price, but the important thing here is to memorize the structure of this. This is you, that's your news feed. This is here is Discovery. The Channel 9, the Channel 7, the MTV, the Fox that you have on your normal TV. These here are live events that happens. So Snapchat themselves, they have now a preset schedule of things that's gonna be happening, and now they're bringing brands into plugging in. So this part here, is almost like you're watching pay-per-view and you watch catch-up TV. All right, that's the best analogy I can think of. All right, and this is content on demand, and this is your catch-up TV. That's the best analogy. Well, this is your personal repository of content, and out of these three things here, you can expose your brand in 3 different ways. Okay.
How do you get live if it's not here? Do you have to select?
You have to be on the local, but also there needs to have a live event happening right now. Something meaningful. It's not every single day you're gonna see live events.
Yeah.
As James said, maybe AFL final, it's there. So I was in Sydney on Chinese New Year, and I was walking back to the hotel at night, and I was a Snapchat, and then suddenly I walked to some place, and then pop up the live. So actually, for the first time, I could collaborate to this story.
So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, live events can be purchased events by an advertiser or something like that, their own event, or it can be Snapchat saying they want to show the running of the Bulls in Barcelona, and they will collect a bunch of people who are doing Snapchats at that event and then pull it together into a live story. So it's not always advertisers.
Yeah. That's good. I'll show you the NBA example coming up in a sec.
So, lenses, as briefly touched on before, a little GIF thing on the side. Basically, I'm pretty sure I heard a couple of weeks ago Facebook's actually bought this technology to do facial recognition, so we can see this coming to Facebook soon as well. But this is sort of the first of its kind that's ever sort of in that sort of platform, which is pretty cool. It's really fun. I see a lot of my friends using it all the time. But the great thing about it is now you can actually purchase a lens, which is what we saw just before. We don't know when they're happening, that's a lot of the thing with Snapchat advertising on it for a brand, for a user. You don't actually, everything's a surprise because you don't see something's going to be advertised on there unless you see it on another channel, which we'll get into down the track. Mainly, like why we see it being so important is where Snapchat sits in the archetype, which we'll discuss coming down the track. The Snapchat's designed to be real, like that joker attitude. It's meant to be really fun and almost like really sort of informal. It's designed to be, you know, you're not going to be going out there and saying there's a disaster or something happening. This is, you know, showing the fun side of your personality as a user and, you know, your brand's personality. It's sort of something that we won't see often, and especially like Snapchat's built, like this feature's built around faces. So that, like, you can tell it's sort of saying we want faces in your content. Meaning, as a brand, it's a perfect opportunity to have like an influencer take over your Snapchat. A lot of brands do that at the moment. They'll have someone take over their Snapchat for a day, and then, you know, throughout their snaps of the day, they've got that sort of solid person that sort of makes the content branded in a way. So they'll reflect what your brand's values are and help you do that. Obviously, sort of clear brand briefing with when you talk to these guys. Any key points on this? Just if we ever go down this sort of path in, you know, with your brand, if you're ever making it, you just want to be really careful because you can overlay filters and stuff over the top of your lenses. So you just want to make sure that your filter doesn't really contrast or conflict with filters that are available in that area or stuff that you might even be doing at the same time in your promotions. So you want to make sure everything complements and you don't have interference or they don't contradict each other. And also take into account the current filters that are there as well, lenses that are there.
Filters are, I reckon, one of the most fun part of Snapchat. That's what got me hooked on it. Every day, not every day, but they update their filters like at least once a week.
Yeah.
And that's one of the addictive things. You come back, you send a funny face, you send the dog face, you probably all received it. It's hilarious, you know, it's great. You do it with a kid. I don't know if you ever tried to do it with a kid. It's really fun seeing their reaction, like a 2-year-old trying to do it. It's awesome. So that's the addictive part of it, I find. And the fact that brands can just get in there a little bit and grab a filter like we saw at the start before. Who was it? It was Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So mixed in with the normal filters, lenses, you've got a brand one sneak in and get a few, you know, mentions. So I think that's the fun. It's a really fun element of it. It's not meant to be serious or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly right. So we'll move forwards onto geo filters, which we sort of briefly taught you how to use at the start. This was our first geo filter that we used at our last training session earlier in the month. So basically, a geo filter is like an overlay that you'll put on top of your snap to complement your moment that you can only have when you're in a certain location. So when we're building these, you fence out the location, you get charged per the area that you buy, and how much space and how long you want. You get charged accordingly. So you can see this little map that we've got here is fenced around our building. So when you're within that space, we have a bit of a bleed zone because of GPS inaccuracies. And basically when you're in that zone, you'll be able to swap across and you'll see your filter. What makes an effective geo filter? Basically 3 key things, and that's design, design, and design. We've gone through a couple of geo filters. We've done it once with the client already, and design's a massive thing. It's a new platform, so you've really got to think simplistic because you don't want to get into the way of people's moments, but at the same time you want to, in a way, brand people's moments, and you want to complement their moment at the same time. You want to give people a reason to use it. If it's too complex, there's too much going on, they're not going to use it. The other trick to it as well is that geo filters are applied after you take your snap, so you want to make it, if it doesn't work with the photo that's been taken, they won't use it. They're going to keep scrolling until they find something that works. Moving forward.
Just for some context, the one we've got today, 2 hours around this building, is $5.
US dollars.
Yeah.
So everything at the moment is still in US dollars. So whenever you do, you've got to take into account the exchange rate.
The larger the area, the more dramatically the price increases, but they've designed it, and even when I was talking to Snapchat about it, they said, yes, it's for businesses, but it's more for users. They made it, costed it low enough so that users could create their own one if they wanted. For example, I create one for my birthday next month, sorry. So when people are at the party, they can Snapchat and do the filter, because it's going to be so cheap. It's $5 for a couple of hours. There's nothing stopping you from doing it yourself, as well as brands doing it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tom. Have they mentioned anything around how your geofilter's ranked amongst all the geofilters, or is that just based on when it's submitted?
We heard briefly, Liam, you heard directly from Snapchat, but basically there's a limit of, is it 7 geofilters to get submitted, and then the first 7 are counting. So once you're after that, they'll start knocking you back. So you only have a maximum of 7 geofilters at an event or within a sort of location. So that's first in best dress. When it comes to prioritising which comes first, there's no order. So just when we were filling with ours earlier, when we were filling with ours earlier, we had the Melbourne one come first, and then I used it again 5 minutes later, and our one came first, and it just changes all the time.
Oh, it's random per usage even?
Yeah, so ours changed, I think it's depending on where your GPS sits, how sort of centred you are, and also what other filters are going on in the location.
Yeah, okay.
So taking Zara's question a bit further, I mean, you could imagine the Grand Prix next year, there being 20 companies that wanted geofilters. So it's literally the first 7 that put their hand up, fill out the form, pay the money, or whatever has to happen.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. The only thing that would override that is like an IO purchase, larger advertising spend, deal with Snapchat directly, but that'd be a whole other level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's bigger spend, so that's sort of outside of what the user can reach.
Yeah, but it comes to planning for the client, not just, I mean, that's an easy example, Mercedes at Grand Prix, because there'd be so many, but for any, like, the AFL Grand Final or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, even with us at Fashion Week, I had to scroll through 14 before I found ours.
Is that right?
So that's where the question came from.
The other thing that's also interesting, similar to Twitter, you can use this to sort of take over something that's not your event. So what happens is if a big event is happening, on Twitter you can purchase it and put your own brand in there instead for that day. This you could do a similar thing. So if something's relevant to your brand, you can
It's great for guerrilla marketing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. And the other thing is that Snapchat, when they're running their live events, it jumps back to live. If you see an event geofilter come up, they often do live geofilters, so you'll see like AFL Grand Final, you'll see live score updates on the geofilter, which is pretty cool. That's pretty much it for geofilter. We'll push through to just quickly on the data. There's not really a lot of data available. This is literally all we get. So we get the uses, which is, so if you take a snap, put it on, you send a snap, that's classified as a use. And then you get the views. That's how many people have seen the filter from that user who's sent it. I read an article from the guy, what's his name, Spingle, never say it, who's CEO of Snapchat, founder as well. He has a rather dislike for people, for data-centric marketers, and he doesn't want to give all this data to people and say, you know, have all these brains, nuts and bolts behind it. He really wants it to be about the user and having users do it, and they can sort of, you know, to a user that would satisfy them, but to a brand we want a little bit more. Unfortunately, we're not going to get it.
It's also going to be affected by like what the event is that you're geo filtering.
Yeah.
So like the bigger the event, the more people are going to use it, obviously, but then the more views you're going to get out of that, because you might have influencers at the event or any number of things. So.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions on data at all?
All right. So our friends at Epworth, hi, I'm sure you're watching, introduced the archetype to us, and I'm sure everyone's probably familiar with this in the room. It's a great way how we're using internally to identify your audience with the social media platform. So for senior management, this is a great tool to say, hey, where does Snapchat fit on the scale? So you can have a really sensible conversation. As Tom touched on at the start, it is that joker, sort of have a bit of fun sort of thing for the brand. So where it sits, you know, it's the freedom. You know, quite opposite to where, you know, Facebook and the website and that sort of sit. So just wanted to bring that up. It's, you know, it's important when you're selling it into senior management just to say, you know, hey, this is where it sits. You know, we've got a strategy. It's not just something that we're starting like social media 5-6 years ago, where you just create things for the sake of it. You get on a bandwagon. It's a structured sort of approach.
For what it's worth, this is a little bit broke. Now they've just fixed because it's on the camera. This half up is about celebrate the brand. This is about me. This here, it's about them. It's about consumers. So that's why we see the everyman, the jester. So that's just that's probably a slide I put together and I gave to you without fixing. But that you celebrate the brand, celebrate them. That's why we can inspire ourselves to be digested, to be a little bit more relaxed and fun.
So just tying with the content side of things, we're a big believer in having a content strategy for your snaps, your Snapchatting. You'll see some brands, obviously, or individuals, you'll take a photo, you upload it, then you might take another one, and then a user will come and watch your thing at the end of the day, and there's no story to it. You miss that opportunity, it's all over the place. So we're a big believer in having your content strategy up place. You know, it's got to be native to Snapchat, it's unique. Don't try to replicate what you're doing on Facebook and Twitter. Keep it unique, it's a lot more raw and unique as well to the platform. So obviously determine your tone that you're going for, the angle is really important. And it's going to shift and it's going to evolve, because that's, you know, that's Snapchat, that's the platform. And obviously use a mixture of stills and images and videos. This was obviously from the previous slide, but example of the Macca's filter. That was about 3 weeks ago. They did a national rollout of the filter. It got a lot of buzz online. It obviously got, and I reckon it would have got a lot of people eating McDonald's as well, because it was, you know, that evening time, people were flicking through it. My wife was sending me a photo with this one and getting chips on the way home and that sort of thing. So really good use. Can we quickly show the video? I just want to show the NBA video. They've got their stream is awesome. Just how they throw together stuff behind the scenes. You could use it for, you know, fashion shows and that sort of stuff. Just the way to do it, using the filters and the text. Obviously this bit's not that exciting to a non-basketball fan, but for a basketball fan, just getting behind the scenes stuff.
So this is sort of content that you don't see anywhere else. Like, this is really unique, it's what you'll see. So stuff that's, I've seen some for AFL teams, the Richmond supporter, I see some for, pretty loud. I see Richmond like change room stuff when they're sitting in there just before they're about, when they're giving a bit of a coach debrief and stuff like that. You don't see that, you don't see that on television, and you know, they're not allowed to televise it. So you see stuff that you're just never going to see anywhere else, and it's only there for 24 hours, you're never going to see it again.
That filter also is a special purchase with Snapchat, and it updates live based on the score once the game's going as well. So all the people in the stadium can use it as well, and every time they take a photo, it'll change based on what the score is at any given time.
So I have a quick question. The way you can take a screenshot of a photo that's being shared with you, can you somehow save video as well?
To save video, you've got to go through computers, and if you're an Android, you can use an app, so it's not easy.
It's not built into Snapchat, no. And most phones don't have it built into their system as well. So you have to use a third-party app.
Or another phone.
Well, we plugged the phone in and just took the feed.
So yeah, if you have a Mac and an iPhone, then you can just plug it in and use QuickTime to record anything on your phone, which is cool. And Android, you can just download some separate apps that do it.
Okay, so moving on to geofilter design, as touched on before, design's crucial, super crucial. Get your design right and people will use it. Snapchat gives really clear guidelines on how to design your geofilter, from dimensions, everything like that. If you don't have your dimensions right, it'll be knocked back straight away. You also can't edit a geofilter once it's submitted and been approved, so you've got to run with it. And you really want to think about framing and how it's going to be used. Sort of imagine how it's going to be used in an event. Cross-channel promotion as well is vital, because as you've seen at the start of the session today, it's really hard to find a brand on Snapchat. So this is an example. I'm a downhill rider, I wear neck braces, layout protective the neck brace that I use, so I obviously have interest in this. So I've seen it when they've recently started Snapchat themselves. They run ads just before a weekend promoting that they're going to have content on their feed, reminding people to add them on Snapchat, reminding people to check their feed out, which they're publishing content to their story. The content they're publishing itself is not great because they're flipping from horizontal to vertical to horizontal again, and Snapchat doesn't automatically rotate the content, so you like hold your phone, you're juggling it around, it's not great, you just don't want to watch it. But it's a good, I thought it was a good example of how to cross-promote. Influencers and ambassadors, as touched on earlier, having someone take over your account. So this is Sour Patch Kids.
Yep.
Show you some of this video quickly.
Alright, so that was
Pretty tight on
2039
time.
asked, how'd you astrogate out to prom? We went up in a helicopter and we went over the sand and spelled out prom in umbrellas, and it was awesome. Alright, so next question is, what's your favorite prom dance move? This. Alright, so the last question is, should I ask my friend or my crush to prom? I just went with a friend, but if you have a crush and you want to get to know them more, I would definitely ask a crush. Go for it. Don't forget to watch the latest episode of Sour Patch Kids Prom Project on Twins' channel because I helped pick the winner with the best prom style. You guys should go check it out and subscribe to that. Don't forget to add me on Snapchat at the Brent Rivera. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and adios, amigos.
So that there could be, sort of in the contract, as being like sort of playing the influencer. If I'm going to take over your account, I want to have my own little call to action at the end. It's like how we tag brands on Instagram if we ever use their content, tag users if we use their content. A lot of guys do this to sort of try to grow their own Snapchat following as well. One last thing, anything that's brand sponsored will clearly say it's sponsored in Snapchat. So you can sort of work with that. This word sponsored is in white. So if you sort of design whatever you're doing and have sort of white around the bottom where it will say sponsored, you can quite easily sort of mask it and hide it. That's sort of a little trick, but yeah, just keep that in mind whenever you're sponsoring anything on like live lenses, geofilters.